First thing you do that. Next thing you know, we're all going to do the same thing. So we can.
I bet it was the same place.
Yeah.
He was. All right, guys. Everyone's.
To start this total.
It's so much fun.
It's time.
Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and get started here.
All right.
Everyone needs to take a big bite of your food so you can shut up.
That's a good one.
Pinups. I just want to emphasize that pinups are not formal. So you're going to hear a lot of non-words and hesitation as I try to remember exactly what I did. But this is really for my benefit. This is a process that I did over break. And I want to not forget it. So, in the true spirit of teach to learn, right? And I'm going to share this. And
remember for you?
It should be pretty quick, and then hopefully we'll have some time for question and answer. Although I'll warn you, because I'm not very experienced using this, I don't know that I'll have very many answers. So OpenRefine is an interesting tool that I stumbled upon that's produced by, I believe it was produced by another company, and then Google bought it, and then they open sourced it. So I know the title of the meeting was OpenRefine. As you can see, they're slowly transitioning to a new community location. But if you want what's called the binary, if you want the Windows executable, you need to go to you need to do a Google for Google Refine to download the thing that you'll run on your system. Because they don't have any of the latest binaries built yet on the OpenRefine website. So we'll go ahead and jump right in. I've already downloaded Google Refine and unzipped the archive. And you'll see that there's a Google Refine executable in the folder. You'll launch it. It opens a scary terminal window. And Google Refine is what's called a web app, but it runs on your desktop. So this is running a little web server on my computer, and it's automatically loaded the web app into a new tab on my browser. So it's still rather easy to run. It's just a little bit different from maybe what most of you are used to. So when you first when you first launch it, you're not going to see any projects listed here. I've already been working on projects, so there's 3 listed on this computer. I'm going to try to go ahead and walk through from start to finish. So we're going to go ahead and create a new project. Now, as you can see, Google Refine can import a whole bunch of different formats, including Google Documents, Excel files, and so forth. And let me back up a little bit. The whole point of this was to clean up some data that I had obtained because I wanted to plot the data. And the problem that I had was that it was sort of broken up. The Excel file had subheadings in it. It had some empty columns and that sort of thing. So I wanted to clean it up before I was able to plot the information. And when I say plot, I mean graph, draw a chart. So if we look at this data and see what it looked like when I received it. Let's see, we want to look at project time. And I'm just going to open this up in a spreadsheet so that we can take a look at the original data. Now, I did receive an Excel file.
Excuse me, are you using my name without permission?
That is correct. Certain individuals are featured in the data that we're going to see today. So you can see here, it's got these rows that are sort of used as total headers. But the problem is that the contributor is sort of mixed in with the date, and that kind of causes some difficulty with plotting the information. So what I need to do is create a new column with the contributor name, but also retain the date. And so that's what we're going to start doing here using Google Refine. So we'll go back to my browser, and I'm going to choose that file. I think that was project time. And as you can see, it's hit next. It's going to upload the data. And it gives me sort of a preview. And it's going to parse the first line as a heading, which is useful. So I think I can choose all these defaults and then hit Create Project up here in the upper right. Now there's the main thing that I used, there's a lot of power here under the hood, but the main thing that I used here was something called faceting. And let me go back to my cheat sheet here. Let's see. All right, so the first facet that I'm going to use is a custom text facet. And some of you who are used to using Excel are going to recognize some of the language. So if I click on this menu here and go to Facet, Custom Text Facet, it gives me a space to enter in an expression. Now, I'm going to cheat quite a bit here. I'm going to go to my history, and it's going to list all of the other facets or the expressions that I used, and in particular, the one that I used in my demo. So if I reuse this one from my demo, you can see the result is that it has created a new row or new column with the name here in the first column, the date column. So if I let me walk you through this. This is an if statement, and the first evaluation is and this is probably rough. There's probably 10 different ways to skin this cat here, but what I did is I asked if the project ID and description column was blank. And I could have asked that for any of the other cells as well, because if you look here, project description, activity time, the only ones that have data are the date column, units and hours for this subheading. So if that is blank, it's going to put the value in the new column.
So
and
that is a pattern that you recognized as giving you the ability to target that row.
That's right. That's right. And I should say something here. I'm actually doing this wrong. This is just going to filter. This is going to give me a filter, and we'll get back to text facet. Actually, what I need to do is do an edit column, an add column based on this column. And this is basically the same information, except up here I'm going to type contributor for the new column title, and I'll reuse the if expression. So if that column cell is blank, then insert the value. If it's not, then don't do anything. That's what null means. And it gives you a nice preview here of what it's going to do. So we'll go ahead and hit OK. And it says up here in this alert box, create new column, blah, 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 and I can undo it if I want. And here we can see we have a new column called contributor.
Is that linked, or is that to be changed?
It won't change anything else.
It won't update the contributor.
It will not, no. So the next thing I want to do is then fill down, because I need to make sure that all of these records are associated with that particular contributor. Right now the contributor is blank for these cells. It's not very useful. So there is a function here that does a fill down. Edit cells. Fill down. Thank you, site. And that's it.
And it fills down,
Yeah,
and then it
it's
changes
slowed
when the
down.
next
So if you go over here, you can see the where it starts Anthony. It fills those down for Anthony, and that sort of thing. All right, so let's see. The next thing I did was, all right, so we want to remove the blank rows now. So I want to remove all these sub-rows that don't have very much useful. I don't need these total rows anymore. So we will go to, I think, all. No, I want to actually go here. We'll do this one because I'm doing a custom text facet on project ID, and I just want all the blank cells under this column. And in my history, I do have in this blank right here. And now what the facet does is it gives me this control over here on the left. And you can't see it on the screen, but this says false 327 and true 18. And what that means is that there are 18 rows where that cell is blank. So if I click on false, it's just going to show me those 327. And that's really the only data that I want. Now what I can do here is click on true, and I can delete these. I can remove all matching rows and just remove them from my data entirely. And now I don't need this facet anymore. I can remove this facet. So you can think of facets as sort of a filter. I guess it's another name for filter, to select your data. Let's see, the next thing I did was, I only wanted 2012 data in here. And you can see there's information from 2011 as well as 2010, I believe. So we'll do a filter on the date. And normally you would do a timeline facet, except that this column's data is actually text, or it's communicated as a string. So I need to do another custom text facet on this. And the one that I used was value, and then the ends with function, and the /12. So that's selecting all the dates that end in 12 for 2012. I'll hit OK, and it's found 226 that match that, so true. I'll click that. And now you can see that we are only viewing 2012 records. And again, I can select all these and remove all those matching rows. And let's see, what else did I need to do? Right, there's 3 entries, I believe, in here that are meals and expense. So if we go under activity, and I'm just going to do the plain old text facet because there's only a limited number of values for this column. And this text facet shows me those 3 values that are available. It says there's 1 food and beverage, there's 1 meal, and the rest are project time. And of course, we only want project time.
So the text facet found all the unique entries.
Exactly. It found all the unique entries for us.
That's cool.
And that is pretty much it. The other thing that I want to show.
So basically, the current tools you've shown can pull out related information, group it together, create, remove unwanted things.
You can do calculations on columns. There is a whole slew of functions. If we go to the this is, for example, a numeric facet. If I want to show hours between 4 or 6 and 8, let's say, it gives you an interesting visual tool that you can use to select those records.
Can you import data logger data files?
It depends on the format. If it's in text format, I imagine yes.
It's a CSV.
Yeah. The power of this tool is not only the faceting and the calculations that you can perform on data, but it can also work on very large data sets. I don't know that there are any limits because
Well, I can try to break it with the data each.
You can certainly try to break it, but the strength is that it's not showing you all your data at once, which is something that Excel has to do in order for it to do, to work on all of its information. So now that we have exactly what we want. For our 224 matching records, we can now export this information. And what we'll use is, again, comma-separated values, and it automatically just gives me this download. So if we open that file, and what I like to do is rename the file and put it _refined at the end of it. So now we can quickly see the difference between these two files. So this is an after. It retains the date information, which was important, the contributor, and we're only, we only care about the project time. And then if we look at the before, you can see that it has the headers here, which, it's not something that we needed. Google Refine, I did this work on a different computer, and so one of the things that I should have done instead of rebuilding some of those facets, the expressions that I needed to use, is using the export feature. The first option is exporting the project, and it gives you everything that you need to move this to another machine and continue working on it with Google Refine.
Is there any
I do not know. I would say
set of commands you can use to execute these things without going into the interface.
the other interesting feature is the undo and redo. So you get a full history, but you can extract. If you have similar data sets that you want to perform the same operations on, you can extract that. And Matt will love this. You can extract that information as JSON.
What?
So it's a data format. So basically what you do is you copy.
JSON?
It's a database format. You can copy and paste the information on the right into your new OpenRefine project and paste it in, and it will go through those operations on your second set of data.
We could write our email deliverables.
Rather than, manually repeating the process.
That would be smarter.
As long as we don't use Word.
So that's it. That is OpenRefine.
Cool.
What is the security on this?
The security, it's just the same security as any other desktop application. Yeah. Nothing goes to the internet. It is a web app, but it runs on your local system. It doesn't do any calls out to the internet or that sort of thing. So.
That's what's 127.0.0.1. That's your local computer.
Yeah, that's right. That's a good point. Site mentions the web address up there. That is also known as a loopback. It basically just points back to your computer. You know, if you're running a web server on your computer, that's the address you usually use. So,
Kind of reminds me of the data tool for monitoring that was developed. It's,
the graphing tool, yeah.
Can you do any graphs or anything with this?
No, this is just for cleaning up and transforming data. There are no plotting features.
I like it. So, can we just, so like, we could create reports in some way or another, and can you say one like a sort of set of actions that we execute?
Anything that goes into the undo redo tab, you can cut and paste into other projects. So yeah, you can save that information. The only any filtering or faceting that you do is saved in the history of that.
So can I say I want to do this report once a month, and the parameter is the month, and I only want to include entries for a particular project number and for a month? Could I say, give me a report for this month and this month, and then if I open the same file next month and change the month, I get the same report?
Yeah, that should be possible. Yeah. I just scratched the surface on what you can write in the expression window. There is some online documentation, but there are videos. If you go to the OpenRefine website, right there on the home page are a series of videos that walk you through doing different things with the data. So I would encourage you, if this is something you think you could use, is just view those videos, and that should give you a good idea. That's where I started, is I watched a few of the videos and then sort of experimented until I found what I needed to do.
Do you have any recommendations for people who could maybe use this or might be scared?
Sounds like it'd be good for counting.
I was using it on data from accounting.
Right.
You know, I think anyone on the technical teams,
Yeah.
you know, we're always getting data from somewhere, and that data may not always be in the formats that we need it in, right? So
Pretty much universe.
it's either you have to write a script or you have to use something to help you clean it up, and I think this is probably, I think that this helps. So I know this is a step that I used before I went into R for plotting out the data. Some of the things that I did in OpenRefine could have been done in R, but I think OpenRefine made it a little bit easier.
Oh yeah.
So that's all I have. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Gary.
Sweet.
You gonna break it first, Mike?
Thanks, Gary. Thanks, Gary.
There'll be a recording of this. I'll try to put it up somewhere.